Hi folks, you're with Tacitus today. Tacitus today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this audio live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about these Antifa and BLM, riots and the anti-immigration enforcement officer riots and general, anarchy that goes on around there. But to have, I've complained in the past in other videos about how few of these anarchists are arrested, even though they're brazenly interfering with law enforcement, pushing and shoving law enforcement, preventing vehicles from moving around, blockading, and so on and so forth. And plenty of opportunity to arrest these people on all sorts of charges, blocking roads and so on. Yet the amount of arrests is surprisingly small. I mentioned in a video a couple of days ago, over 100 protesters, again, violently scuffling with police, but only 2 of them are arrested. 2. So I've gone back over over 6 months or around 8 months, actually, looking at the amount of people that have been arrested, which isn't high. There have been a couple of spots where the scuffles have broken out into almost open warfare, and there have been more arrests there. But otherwise, the arrests are quite few. Either the law enforcement officers don't have the resources, or they're so poorly organised, or they bumble about, or whatever the reason. But they seem not to be, or seem to be quite reluctant to make arrests in many instances, which I find surprising. The Democrats, on J6, which they'd engineered and false flagged and the whole thing, they had 300 FBI agents infiltrating the crowd. There wasn't even 300 people that entered the building, was there? And so they were swift and vicious and ruthless in their pursuit of grannies, who were getting chemotherapy for cancer and who just wandered into the building, wondering what was going on, and they ruthlessly tracked them down for the crime of trespass. But there seems to be a much reluctance to do anything near that scale. When those people for trespass were dragged into court, a radical activist, Trump-hating judge was appointed to hear the case, just to make sure these people who'd committed the lowest level misdemeanor that you wouldn't bother about in any other circumstances were made an example of and were treated with maximum harshness. But again, we're not seeing that here. No, I'm not suggesting that there should be that misuse of state power and corruption and subversion of the legal system just to go after people because you don't like them or you think they might have the wrong views. That's completely the wrong use of the law. Nonetheless, we're looking at here these people, the anarchists who are preventing the illegal alien enforcement operations from going ahead. Those people are breaking the law, and it's a very clear breaking of the law, and pushing and shoving officers and this sort of thing, preventing officers from moving around and performing their duties. Officers that are trying to arrest an illegal alien criminal are being set upon by others in the crowd. They should all be arrested, and they're not being. And these people can commit these crimes and they can just walk off. And there's no attempt by law enforcement to follow them and find out where they live or, the motor vehicles they're using, or to arrest them after the event. There just isn't there. The will, the resources and the focus and the organisation to do it just aren't there. But it's not just on the arrest level. That's bad enough. When we look at, and I've done I suppose a middle range deep dive here, and I've made some notes. So it's taking approximately 5 months, a little bit longer in some cases, but around 5 months. So say somewhere between 19 and 22 weeks seems to be about the range here, between 19 and 22 weeks to bring formal charges against these people. So remember, they were arrested. It's on video. Like, it's not like it's somebody said or there was an informer or something. It's on video, them committing these crimes, and so there's no doubt about it. and yet it's taking, for some reason, given the clarity, they've been arrested, the evidence is clear, but it's taking 5 months before formal charges are even brought. So these people are being arrested, bail's being posted by the NGO. They've got a free lawyer representing them, and they're back on the street waving placards 5 minutes later. So it's not like they're being taken out of circulation or something, quite the opposite. So now, just looking at the people, I'll look at one group of people here. 16 were arrested. Now, here's some interesting stats that I've gone through. 12 of the 16 were white Anglo-Saxons. Now, you'd expect, given that the riots and the anarchy were about preventing deportation of illegal criminal aliens, this is not just the people who've come into the country illegally, but these are people who've committed additional crimes, some cases quite serious crimes, assault and battery, driving under the influence and injuring someone badly in a motor vehicle collision, things like that, and then driving away. So why is it that white Anglo-Saxons who've got no skin in the game, I mean, it's not like they've got a brown or a black relative. It's not like they've got any sort of benefit to be derived from this. Now, if it was the brown and the black person doing the rioting and the anarchy, that you sort of I'm not saying it's legal, but that you would understand, because they want to bring out their whole family or the whole fucking village from some third world shithole to America, and so they want the illegal alien gig to stay. They want it in place, and they don't want, they've been getting away with it for years, and they don't want to now be accountable for being in the country illegally. And as the Indians just say, I just want a better life. I just want to look after my family. So why is it that all these white Anglo-Saxons, and it's everywhere I look at arrests, and even at the footage, the video footage of a lot of these riots, that they're mostly Anglo-Saxons. They're people who've got no skin in the game, or no personal skin or racial skin, or tribal cultural skin in the game. It's purely ideological skin in the game for them. No human being is illegal, all that sort of stuff. So it's purely ideological. And I'm also surprised how many of these people are government employees, particularly teachers and people like that. Now, how are they able to get time off? You read into the details. These people are getting time off from the school or the university, time off with pay. University students are being given credits and distinctions on any work that they do if they say that they attended an anti-ICE riot. The university are actually giving them better grades. We'll give you a triple PhD if you go there and wave placards and shout asshole at the ICE agents or something. I mean, that's how corrupt and perverted it is on various levels. Time off with pay or extra credits and distinctions on your university studies. Anyway, 16 arrested in this particular riot here. 12 were white Anglo-Saxons. Now, once you start doing the breakdowns, you start to see some other issues here. 2 were identified as trans, 3 were lesbian, 2 were homosexual. 7 of the 16 were women, 9 were men. So there's only 4 brown black people in there. So when you take it, how many sort of straight white males were there? Out of the 16, it seems there was only 1 straight white male there, and I'm assuming straight. What's going on is that person appears to be an organizer, from what I can tell. But anyway, it's now the judge. Certainly the cases that I've looked at that are coming up for trial. They seem to be incredibly sort of organized in arranging activist judges who are sympathetic and will be sympathetic and will rule in a sympathetic manner to these anarchists. How are they able to do that? Now, if you look at the administration staff in employees, the workers in many of the courts, they are directly taken from the activist class. They're not just people who are there for a job or people who are there because they've got legal knowledge or something. No. These people are part of the activist class, and they are in touch with and are interacting with and form a conga line with the street activists. So there's no surprise to note that many of the administrative staff in the court, and these are the people that allocate the judges to the cases, many of the administrative staff in the court were also, were previously placard wavers, all worked for NGOs who were very committed to promoting illegal immigration and keeping illegal aliens in and funneling welfare to illegal aliens and so on. So there's no question that many of these courts have been turned over effectively to the NGO, international activist globalist class, that now completely control things and make sure that judges with the right sympathies are hearing the right cases and so on. So this really needs to be unraveled. This is insane. We see it here in Australia as well, by the way, or elsewhere around the Western world. Even if there's only one activist judge in that particular court, there's more than that, but even if there's only one, they manage to make sure that one hears the cases they want heard. They'll delay the cases, the hearings, they'll do anything to make sure that only a sympathetic judge hears the case. So of the cases I have looked at for these rioters and anarchists, they're getting very light sentences or no sentence at all. A bit of community service and so on. But I've mentioned in other videos, the community service is assigned to an NGO, an NGO that is itself part of the activist class. So they're not even having to do the community service work. That's just getting signed off on, and they're back on the street again. And again, as I've mentioned also numerous times, all of these people are getting free legal representation. They don't have to pay a cent for lawyers as the rest of us would have to. If they do get a fine, then the NGO pays the fine. They don't have to pay that. Many of them, of course, also are getting paid an income for just doing the placard waving. So there's a whole lot of things here that need to be addressed and unravelled. But until the government gets serious about it, then these people are going to keep on rioting. There's just no downside for them. And again, going after the universities and the government departments and the schools that are giving these people time off with pay to go out placard waving, that's not part of the gig. If they shouldn't be, they're supposed to be apolitical anyway as a government employee. But the idea that they're brazenly and openly given time off with pay to go and oppose the legal government policies of the day, that's insane. And that needs to be gone after with much gusto. You've been with Tacitus today, your Pushback channel, and thank you for listening.